Top of it, man. It's your boy AntMoe coming live and direct from the studio, the Mind of a Man podcast, or coming live and direct from the studio of the Mind of a Man. Welcome to the Mind of a Man podcast, where we give you a holistic peek inside of the mind of a kingdom man. Approach is three-tiered: mind, body, and soul. We want to, help people, men primarily, get to a place of being whole, healthy, and healed. Listen, man, it's early in the morning. I can't hold you. You might can hear it in my voice, maybe not. You might can see it on camera, maybe not. But I wanted to make sure that I got up and got back to it. It is not like the next day or anything, but it's been a couple of days. But I want to make sure that I have a couple episodes ready in the tuck. And I wanted to kind of pick up where I left off last time and kind of go into some different thought processes. I talked about procrastination last time. I talked about just the idea of, taking things for granted, like time. And man, I shout out to Warren. I'm kind of in my question bag. I be wanting to look at people who are successful, look at things that people have built, and I be wanting to understand how you got what you got. Not so I could take it or anything like that, but I want to, when you're trying to build something for yourself, one thing that he said was like, I made a comment about something, and he said, go do it. He used some expletives that I won't use, but he was like, go do it. It's a bunch of people sitting on the sideline talking about what they're going to do. And some people go get in the game. And I'd rather be a person that went and got in the game even if I failed, to say that I didn't just sit around and talk about the things that I wanted, the things that I wanted to accomplish. And it's a realistic thought process and conversation and statement to be made. But, that's that whole, that goes back to the last episode. It's like, what do you do with that? It has a lot to do with me being here right now. Man, who cares? 5 people watch it, 10 people watch it. Maybe people don't make it past the first 5 minutes. Maybe somebody don't like my voice. Who cares? You just do what you're supposed to do. Stop complaining about stuff. I can understand a man complaining or a woman complaining about something that they actually put the work in on. Because the reality is, if you put the work in, then it shows that there's a desire there. That shows that at least, the dream or the vision that you've had, you put into play. I've often said, I didn't realize how much of an accomplisher I was until I kind of, rambled and rummaged through a couple of like notes that I had on my phone at one point. Like I would put whatever, it could be anything. Like, hey, I want to do 60 podcasts, whatever. I end up hitting that number, or even whatever the small goals were that I was building up to. I realized that I actually would hit them. And I said, man, I've never got anything. I never not got anything that I didn't pray for. But even with that part being true, I still have to put a certain amount of effort and attention into that. The funny thing I was thinking about as I was coming up here is just even the whole idea of support. I kind of got into that as well last time. And what it made me think about is how sometimes support has nothing to do with your skill set or the level of execution that you put into it. Sometimes the best singers in the world are never put on a certain pedestal, so to speak. Sometimes the best speakers never see the biggest stages. And that's because people's approval or disapproval of you has nothing to do with your gift. Sometimes it has something to do with if somebody even thinks you're likable. When you look at church, or when you look at certain jobs that you may have, it can be the most cliquey thing ever. You know what I'm saying? To deal with certain people, to deal with certain groups, especially in church. You know, and I'm saying this not to knock anybody, but I'm saying it because it's been a lot of things that I've saw, and it's been things that I can say I personally experienced. But it's like, you know, I can sing, Keisha can sing, but you know Keisha, or Keisha is the pastor's sister. I don't know. I'm just making this up, and you will get looked over 10 times because Keisha is plugged in, and it's one of the things that stops people from getting as involved as they want to be at times. I know when I was in the choir, and it was really hypothetical, but there was a time when I was in the choir, and we had lost one guy for whatever the reason, and then we had another person come and take over. And it was like, when you get the same people doing the same thing all the time, it may be cool to the people who want it to be that way. But when you got people who you claim are capable and qualified, it could turn people off. And this is not to murmur or complain. This is just having a real conversation, because still in the vein of sometimes your skill sets, your talents, your gifts, that's not going to always get you in the best position, so to speak. Now, of course, when we're talking about church, we want to operate in excellence. We don't want it to just be something that we do because, we love God. Like, that's great. But we also want to do something dope. We want to also make sure we know how to hit notes, and we know how to hold a camera properly, and we know how to speak properly and articulate in a certain way. But we also need to understand that this has something to do with reaching people, and even in the professional sense, being able to do something in excellence and be able to have great customer service, or to have great detail about what you do, being knowledgeable, all those things matter. And oftentimes those are the things that we look over because we know somebody, or because you can fill in the blank. And so for me, I might suck at podcasting. Who knows? I might be a horrible speaker. People really may not like my voice. People may hate my face. But at the end of the day, if I never put the work in, though, if I never show up at 6-something in the morning to record before I go to work, if I never get these videos edited and never get these audio uploaded, if I'm not gonna get my planner together in a way to be successful, even just in my day-to-day life, in my personal life, success or failures are gonna spill over into whatever area of life that you're actually walking in. Right? If I'm living and dying by my planner, if I'm making sure that every hour on the hour is calculated and thought out and mapped out, that is typically going to translate into business. It's going to translate into taxes. It's going to translate into your personal life with your family, all of that. But 9 times out of 10, I can speak for me, I can be hit or miss in what I actually do or don't do. Once again, if we go back to what I said on the first episode, I'm never going to speak to you guys from a place of something that I've arrived. I've made it. So y'all just got to get on board. No. That's garbage. And I wish that people would stop giving that facade. There's a lot of fake gurus, like I said before, and everybody that got money ain't got money. Everybody that looks successful ain't successful. And I think, in my real life and in my ministerial life, so to speak, our whole life should be a ministry, I believe. But in both facets, you can be misused sometimes, for the gift. Like, it makes me think about last night. Shout out to Aaliyah. She had hit me up because people haven't been seeing me for like a month. You know what I'm saying? I was supposed to go do some stuff. I didn't do it. And then I kind of just took the time to regroup, get the family back together in a way, so to speak, get my household kind of in order type thing. And I told her, I said, man, I appreciate you, because you'll be surprised how many people don't even reach out on social media, and she thought I was being funny. And I was like, no, I'm dead serious. Like, it ain't no shade to nobody either. It's just a reality. Most people, you can ask about somebody, but you want to know, you get it from the horse's mouth. If there's a relationship there or whatever it may be. But a lot of stuff I just don't buy into anymore. So if I don't care who it is. I mean, it could be my brother whom I can't tell you the last time I talked to. If he on social media, hey bro, you good, blah, 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 I'll take that. You know what I'm saying? Cause I definitely ain't heard from the Negro in a long time. But yeah, man, it's kind of sad that that's what our relationships have been reduced down to. A lot of the time people are like, text me, don't give me a phone call, and dang sure don't FaceTime me. When I'm like in person, I rather my order of how I would like to deal with people that I actually want to talk to and be around would be FaceTime. I mean, in person, FaceTime, phone call, text message. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be my order. But I think in culture, it's actually flipped. People want to have the least amount of interactions with people in general. And notice I said for people I want to deal with, because what people don't seem to realize about me is to entertain people, to be in front of groups and crowds, as much as it fills me, it also drains me, because not every interaction is a positive one. Not every one of them is something that makes you feel comfortable. I feel when I go into new rooms, I'm not the outgoing, gregarious, talk to everybody person. I'm very standoffish and sit back and look at people and try to read what's going on, test the energy, so to speak. I'm not super, if you seen me clown and play in a room, I feel comfortable in it. And that's what I think people don't understand. They think that stuff translates. A lot of times I'd rather go to the cigar lounge and just smoke a cigar by myself and mind my business, so I can think, so I can recuperate and recharge that energy that I've expended somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But since I was a little kid, I always remember thriving in tough moments and wanting to be on certain stages. I felt like I belonged there. Like I remember I forgot what those things are called, but if anybody watching they know, it was like you'll take the little mathematic contraption and you would turn it over, and then you would loop it. It would be thread on one end and you would loop it around. I remember I won that. And I remember, because I wasn't like the super cool popular kid, people didn't really cheer for me like that. You know what I'm saying? I remember being in track meets and loving when the odds were stacked against me in a relay or in a 200, because that's when I got up the most. You know what I'm saying? When the people were on and the bright lights were on, when the people were out and the bright lights were on, it's when I wanted to be in something the most. Being a speaker, being a singer, being an actor, being in a entertainer in general, I ain't gonna say never failed, but I've almost always rose to the occasion, and so I think sometimes, when people think, oh, that's just him, that's what he do, it's like, no, you got to understand that a lot of my life I've actually rejected that part because the people around me weren't on what I was on. I spent a lot of my, adolescent trying to find out where I actually did fit in. I remember being in high school and the debate team actually sounded a little bit intriguing, but it was after school. It was going to be doing a sport. So I was going to have to pick something that I didn't actually, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't actually know what it looked like. I remember my boy Keith, shout out to Keith, man, Keith Duffy. I remember he was doing tennis because he liked the fact that it looked like ping pong. It was kind of like ping pong, a big ping pong table. And I remember us kind of roasting him a little bit about it for no good reason. at least me, I didn't really see a big deal about it. He was my partner, you know what I'm saying? He was everybody's partner, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember being in like 7th grade and Keith was like, man, you know why I be rocking with you, bro? We were at track practice and he was like, because you take this serious. When you approach something out here, you don't play around. Now, true enough, Keith was older than all of us, so he already kind of had a grown man mentality, but I always had that thing on me, man, like where I was focused, I was hyper-focused on stuff. If I get the spelling bee, I'm literally finna go through all the words. I'm going to spend a lot of my time preparing and practicing on these words. You know, I was always into stuff like that. Like, as much as I love sports and I love sports and I always was an athletic kid, I also liked reading books. I also liked, the idea of speaking and different things like that. And so that's just a complex thing for a kid from Meadowbrook, you know what I'm saying? Because kids were either into sports, dressers, you know what I'm saying, or they was like in band or something like that. And if I couldn't play the drums, I wasn't gonna be a part of it, folk. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny because I think about, I was at my cousin's wedding. Shout out to Toya and Jeremy. They got married a couple weeks ago. And I remember showing up, man, and it was the coolest thing because, man, they've been together since I was like in the 8th grade or something, yo. Like, I thought they already were married, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how long they've been together, how long that, you know what I'm saying, they've been a family, which is super dope. And man, I remember people being so happy to see me, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the like duck off. Like, I've been in Arlington since I left Fort Worth when I, transferred to UTA in 2007. And the thing with family that kind of turned me off was, I had some bad experiences when I was younger that made me not want to deal with people. You know what I'm saying? The passing of my grandmother was like a very big thing for our family. You know what I'm saying? Like a very big thing. But then, it was just like, I remember being like 15, 16 and going to like not family reunions, but going to like, holiday events and things like that. And it being like a bunch of like talking about folks in the family and backbiting and high-siding, unnecessarily. Like, just because somebody come in with an outfit on that don't look like what you got on, why you got to talk about it? It's a fox. It's faux fur. It ain't real. All that type of stuff. That always like turned me off. I wasn't into the gossipy, type of stuff. To the point where I asked my grandmother, I was like, hey, can I not go? Is it going to be a big deal if I just stay at the house? And she was just like, nah, you don't got to go. And I didn't go. And I kicked it with my girlfriend at the time or whatever. But, yeah, man, I think that set the stage for me to kind of take liberty over myself in a sense, to protect my space and my energy and the people that I'm around. And it's funny, like, as much as we were sheltered by my grandmother, because I always tell people I didn't go outside till I was 14. Like, legit, like, okay, you can go outside and play football with your friends and I ain't out there watching you, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a crazy thing. But at the same time, like, my grandmother definitely empowered me in a lot of ways to think for myself, to make my own decisions in life. And I never thought about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just know that my mindset has always respectfully been a little bit different from my brother and my sister. And I do believe that some of that is just the way God made you, like, period. Like, you don't have to, like, I'll say it this way. Just because you grew up in the same household with siblings and things of that nature doesn't always mean that y'all will see life the same way. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned. You know what I'm saying? Like, so anyway, yeah, man, I think back on that, and I look, and it makes me realize that sometimes you have to distance yourself from people to see where y'all really stand. When I think about my family, really being happy to see me and my auntie, like giving my aunt and my sister her phone number to give to me so that I could, be in contact with her, and she wants me to bring my kids around her to see her. I think time also lets people realize what's important to them. And it wasn't to prove a point. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to make you miss me or nothing like that. It's just, I also got a lot of stuff going on. I'm always like moving and shaking, man. That whole, I want to live a life that I've never seen before thing is real. But for me, a lot of that is wrapped up in what I'm doing now. And, maybe even, taking a trip to Atlanta to try out for some stuff, or, just doing things, bro. I remember I went to Baltimore, 20 hours away. Me and a young lady I was dating at the time, we drove out there, and it was a dope experience. I felt so comfortable in that space. I'm 20 hours away from home. Bro, every day there was a payout from what is that when people be doing fish fries when people die? What's the thing they always say that they do? It's called what is it called when people GoFundMe? And I did a GoFundMe, and it's like, bro, I had money to drive pretty much the trip to get out there, but to eat food and to move around while we was out there and to get back home was going to be solely dependent upon the people who believed in me to support me with a GoFundMe. When I went to Baltimore to audition for The Voice. And man, when I tell you that the trip was like, it was like living on faith, but it was like, it worked. Like, it was like, there was never like a lack, bro. If we needed gas, like $100 payout that day. You know what I'm saying? If we needed food, another $100 payout, $150 payout, like a $60 payout. Like, it amazed me to see that when you have something that you believe in and you put it out there, it was a lot of people I didn't know as well, which brings me back to the whole support thing. It's like, man, it's like the people closest to you, it's like we don't allow people room to be human. It's like Jesus said a prophet is not honored in his own hometown, right? It's without honor in his hometown or whatever. Because they were so close to Jesus, they couldn't receive him. And I told somebody something that I thought about one time, and I didn't even realize that could be a part of the process because I've never heard nobody talk about it before. But imagine being Jesus and Mary, right? And Joseph. And there's this story about this in your hometown about this 15-year-old kid possibly, that is supposed to be betrothed to Joseph. And then before she gets married, she winds up pregnant. But whoa. Hey, this is all above the belt, folk. Like, this is from God. Like, he touched me. He put a seed in me, a spiritual seed in me that to cause me to be pregnant with this child. And Joseph had his doubts until the angel of the Lord visited him. Imagine growing up in a town with people you've seen your whole life, but don't believe how you believe. They think Mary's a whore. They think Joseph is a fool, he a trick, and they think Jesus is a bastard child. So you want to come and cast these demons into these pigs. You want to come touch the blind and the lame. You want to give people new life, but they like, your whole life is a fraud. It never made sense to me why he was without honor in his own hometown. He's too close. They seen Joseph and Mary arguing. They seen you cutting on wood, bro. Like, what you finna heal? Man, you don't go on somewhere. That's Joseph. That's Joseph and Mary's son, man. They brother just James, fam. Go on, man. I know them. And that's what often happens to us is, oh, that's Anthony. He been divorced. Oh, man, I remember he used to do all these crazy rants, or they ain't crazy rants. That's just where I was at that time in my life. But he the one who used to do all them rants. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he a holy roller. He, you know what I'm saying? He used to be on there, you know what I'm saying, cracking the Bible open, man. What we going to listen to him talk about life for? Oh, I know his brother. I know his sister. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. That's cool. Oh, I know his uncle. Yeah, he, all right, cool. And that's what happens a lot of the time is like people will look over the purpose that God has placed in you, the people closest to you, because they know you too well, or they're too familiar of you. And I think that's an unfortunate thing, you know, because I just remember, and I'm gonna say these people's name because it ain't no hate on that, and it's just what really happened. But I think about Joe Ray. He had hit me one day because Jeremy Butler was doing his 30-day challenge, and I was reposting it every day. And he was like, dang, man, this boy must be a paying customer or something. And I said, nah, man, he just doing a challenge. And I think it's dope. I appreciate his consistency, and he know what he doing. So you know what I'm saying? So that's just my way of showing love and supporting him. He was like, oh, that's crazy. So it just went to show me that, number one, the people that rock with me and follow me, if they watch it, they're going to find some stuff that they like. They're going to find some stuff they don't like. Somebody had been paying attention enough from the content that I was reposting to say, dang, he reposts this every day. Like, who is this dude? We have the ability and the power to affect change in everybody's lives that is around us, or at least the people that we support and know and love, or even for ourselves, if people would take that approach with our content and what we put out, if we wanted to. But a lot of the times I remember when she ain't speak to me at church. Oh, she thinks she this, or he think he that. Like, fam, just because you ain't on what I'm on don't mean you can't support me or give me a chance. Like, and vice versa. Don't mean that I can't, you know what I'm saying, hear somebody out. But that's just the world we live in, man. Social media makes us emboldened to give a lot of opinion about people, what they own, how good they are. A lot of people can't do this stuff, man. A lot of people cannot sit in front of a camera, sit on a stage and articulate and get their points out and keep a conversation going and speak in a way to draw people in or keep people watching what they got going. But, you know what I'm saying? I know I was kind of all over the place, and it wasn't all over the place. I was telling a story in my mind, and I was kind of walking through it. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I didn't want this to be longer than 30 minutes anyway, because I got to get to work, and I'm over here in the Pantego type area. I don't want to deal with none of them folks, so I gotta get on. But man, there's more content coming, man. Some will be short, some will be long. But I want you guys to continue to check me out, man. Rock with your boy. Subscribe, share, comment, follow, all those good things, man. If it's something that you're interested in, if it bless you. And don't be a hater. Not just to me, and you know what I'm saying, to yourself. Don't be a hater to people's process and what they going through. So with that being said, man, after all, what do I know? Until next time, you know what I'm saying? Life is hard enough. Don't just live elevated. I love you. May the Lord keep you. See you at the conference. Peace. I holla.